hearing, taste, smell, and touch. The 5 senses that allow us to understand the world around us. Tonight on Real, we see how our senses can have an impact on Melbourne's communities, from visually impaired tennis to bad habits that are destroying your senses. We'll take a look at some of these stories later. Hi, I'm Chelsea McGovern and welcome to Real, Stories from Beneath the Surface, a youth program that illuminates your youth perspective. Every day, most of us use our 5 senses without even noticing. We enjoy a coffee from our favourite barista, we tap our Myki card to catch public transport, and we choose what to have for lunch, noodles or a chicken sandwich. We listen to our favourite tracks along our route to work, and we spray that expensive fragrance that we hope the right person will finally notice. First up on Real is the movie trailer of the year. Daniel Palombi takes us through the stories of 5 individuals who each have a sense eliminated. Let's see what happens.
So I was pretty nervous when I was walking down the corridor because there's 5 senses. Being the first person, I had my pick of all of them.
Losing my sense of taste and then just tasting nothing.
I happened to choose the loss of smell. Yeah, I don't know what flavour they are.
So when I put the gloves on, I haven't worn snow gloves before, so I didn't feel like they were going to be as hard as they were to feel anything. I couldn't even feel when I was like scrunching my hands together.
When I was feeling around for everything, I thought at each step it was going to be hard to find things because it wasn't just eating the food, it was trying to find where the chopsticks were.
My taste buds are throbbing.
It was a bit stressful not hearing my surroundings. I couldn't hear the barista and the milk. I couldn't hear myself chewing, which is generally pretty loud.
Nah, this is just too hard. I can't do it.
Not coming to a cinema near you. Now, when it comes to our senses, each individual is unique. Some people are born with all 5, others not, and there's always a chance that we'll lose a sense or two at varying stages throughout our lives. But what does a person with all 5 capable senses have in common with one restricted by theirs? The willpower to achieve their goals. In our next segment, Dane Robertson shares with us the stories behind Blind Sports Victoria and the development of a tennis program for the visually impaired.
On the outskirts of Melbourne's CBD, opposite Hisense Arena, is the National Tennis Centre, where every Friday for 6 weeks, Ray Fitzgerald hosts Blind Sports Victoria's tennis initiative.
Well, the benefits of sport generally is that the fact that they come along and they work with sighted people and people who are partially sighted. They go and have a cup of coffee with them, they go and have a chat, and they go away with a smile on their face.
Historically, the opportunities for vision impaired people to be involved in recreational sport was minimal. However, thanks to the initiative, vision impaired people are now able to share in the benefits of sport.
Although some days it feels like I'm just learning for the first time, every now and again I have a night like tonight and it's great. I feel, as my coach called me, like Serena Williams. I sort of became legally blind in about 2006. And so I wanted to do things and I felt like there was nothing to do.
Blind tennis is partially different to traditional tennis, thanks to a few minor adjustments.
I would say it's definitely the ball, which has a sound in it, and it's a softball, so if it hits you, it doesn't hurt.
While there are slight changes, the benefits remain the same.
It keeps us active, and when you're blind or vision impaired, your mobility is quite challenged. Here, I'm allowed to run around and it really quite incredible. So there's a sense of freedom and it gets the heart rate up, so it's really, really good for me. It's experiential, so I would just love people to just try it and then they will know the joy.
You may know someone who is visually or hearing impaired. 1 in 6 Australians are affected by different forms of hearing loss, and it is estimated that over 300,000 Australians are blind or have low vision. But have you ever come across someone that has lost their sense of taste? Next up, Amel Berdelek explores the true story of a chef who was diagnosed with mouth cancer, leaving him without any sense of taste.
I'm a chef. Flavors are the center of my world. My life depends on taste. Well, at least it did. It all began with a shooting pain to the left side of my jaw. Weeks passed. My taste was fading. I just thought I was getting a cold, and one day it was just gone. Just like that.
Can't taste anything.
Mouth cancer. That's what I was told. To stop the cancer spreading, I underwent radiotherapy. The doctor said I wouldn't taste anything ever again. I could feel the core of my being fall through my hands. Months later. What's that smell? A half-empty bin never bothered me before. Cacao, coconut, cocoa butter. It smells so strongly of how it tastes. Tasty aromas.
That was a true story of passion and skill. After the break, we have Daniela Trujillo's short documentary about a deaf girl who has chosen not to learn sign language. Her story will touch your heart. We'll also be talking to our special guest. We'll be back with more Real next. Welcome back to Real. Sounds of a Quiet Life is an inspirational documentary created by La Trobe film student Daniela Trujillo, exploring the life of a young deaf girl who does not let her impairment hold her back.
My name is Lizzie McKinnon, and I'm 18 years old. I've started uni. I'm studying a double degree in Science and Commerce. At uni, I am a part of Oxfam. So we run Oxfam campaign at a uni level. I think it's good fun because it gets your confidence up talking to people that you've never met before. And you get out there and you're talking to people about what's going on in the world. I enjoy swimming. I used to compete in swimming, but I've stopped since then, since I moved away from where I trained. And now I just do it as a thing in my spare time.
When I'm swimming in a swimming pool and it's full of people, I know that I'm around other people, but I feel isolated in my own little space because I'm not hearing anything. It's just me doing my thing.
One thing that I'm really jealous of, and that is I would love to hear underwater. I'd love to know what it sounds like because I can't hear underwater, because I was born with no hearing whatsoever.
We found out Lizzie was deaf when she was 10 months old. We went to a maternity nurse, had a little bell and Lizzie didn't react to the little bell. So we thought, oh, she might have some fluid on her ears or something like that. So we went to an audiologist, then established that she was hearing impaired. She was too young at 10 months old to receive a cochlear implant, because it's all about the circumference of the head is what controls how old you are to receive an implant. Before we went to cochlear implant, we went to a deaf expo and we found a little stand right down the end and showed us what hearing impaired kids can do. We decided with Elizabeth not to sign language. You know, children can sign language, adults can sign language, but the best an adult can get at sign language is about grade 3 level. We thought, we want Elizabeth to go for the oral language approach, which was through reading the face and lip reading and gestures, and that's the avenue we went down. And in the meantime, Lizzie was on the waiting list for the cochlear implant. We just didn't allow sign languaging to get in there. You know, you can learn sign language in 3 weeks if you're hearing impaired. You know, you can just pick it up. Well, that's what we were told.
I think parents are often presented with the choice by professionals in the field of deafness, and it really is a false dichotomy. I mean, they don't have to make a choice. You know, the child learns to speak and to lip read, or to develop their audition, their listening skills through hearing aids or cochlear implants, or they are given the choice of learning to sign. And really there's absolutely no reason why parents should have to make that choice. Deaf children can learn English and they can learn Auslan.
Elizabeth was always an assertive, driven young girl, baby, child. She's always been inquisitive. People used to say to me, why is Lizzie so good at talking? I said, that's Lizzie. Lizzie's the one who's done all of that. We can promote and provide the lessons and everything like that, but we can't do much more than that.
Parents would opt to use English or spoken language because hearing parents generally don't sign. But there's no reason that they can't provide access to a sign language some other way. So they can use spoken language at home, English at home, but they can make sure that the deaf child is also exposed to deaf or hearing role models that use Auslan or another sign language.
I can't imagine signing and not speaking because I have met people who have signed before and they find it really hard in the world because it's all hearing. Everybody talks to each other. So they find it quite hard. So say doing the shopping, and if they want to ask a question, they have to write it down, or they'll type it in their phone and then ask someone, because everyone doesn't sign, whereas everyone speaks words. I don't sign whatsoever. But again, no, I can't imagine going all sign language. No way, no way. I'm more of the hearing world, just because I can't sign. So I don't really communicate with the deaf world even though I'm deaf. And that's not ever going to change. You know, being deaf does stop me from doing some things, but I like to think it doesn't. I'll still try and get involved anyway. Deafness doesn't define who I am. I won't let deafness stop me from doing something. If I want to do something, I'll do it. I'm someone who's determined to do something. I'll give something a go. I'm not someone to back down just because I'm deaf, or I'm not going to know what's being said. I'm someone who's really outgoing and I've got good drive. So I'll, give anything a go. And I'll put up with a fight if someone says, oh no, you can't do it just because you're deaf. I'll just say, no, I'm doing it. I don't care what you say, I'm going to do it.
An incredible story of one's dedication overcoming the stereotypes that are associated with an impairment. I'm now joined by Dr. Mary Vukasevich, an expert in vision impairment. Mary, thank you for joining us on Real.
Thank you.
Now, firstly, how important is our vision?
Well, vision's one of the most probably important senses. It tells us what is in our surroundings. It tells us where we're going. It tells us if there's any dangers in the environment, and so on. Basically, you use your sense of sight all the time.
And how does our Melbourne community contribute to or help people with vision impairment?
Well, if you have a vision impairment, there's a lot of different ways that there's inbuilt mechanisms to help people with that form of sight loss or problem. For example, you'll see the different gratings on the pathways at train stations, on the platforms. You'll see the bump dots and so on, to let people know with a vision impairment that it's safe to walk there or not safe to walk in some zones. So textured surfaces for walking. There's also the audible signals at traffic lights, for example, that help vision impaired people cross over the road safely, and so on. So, and also the enabling of guide dogs to be brought into shops and restaurants and on public transport or wherever it is that you need to go.
There seems to be a lot more awareness these days as well, because it is a lot more publicised, and we see a lot more signs and things for even hearing impaired people as well. There's kind of a general public awareness. Do you think that's grown in the past few years?
I think people have always been aware of others with sight impairment, and that goes back to, you know, plus 100 years. But the way that vision impaired people have been treated over that time has definitely evolved. Before, vision impaired people would have been put in what they used to call asylums. They'd be sheltered away. Now people with vision impairment are living amongst the community and thriving, really. So there's not that sort of stigma around it that there used to be in terms of having a vision impairment, which is good.
That's really great. And how does our loss of vision affect the other senses?
I think that you would find that if you lost your sight, you'd have to rely a lot on your other senses like hearing and probably your sense of touch a lot more. Hearing in the form of just watching out for danger and moving around the environment. You'd need to be aware of what's where, traffic noises and so on. And then also your sense of touch in terms of, you know, perhaps feeling uneven surfaces and manoeuvring your way through the environment. Your hands and your feet would be really useful just for navigation and, again, safety, I guess.
Yeah.
And of course there's Braille, people that read Braille as well, who are almost completely blind or completely blind, and so the sense of touch there as well. Or audio books, so you could have books on tape. Again, I think touch and hearing probably enhance mostly out of all the senses if you lost your sight.
And if you had to lose one sense, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. You know, I initially would think maybe my sense of taste would be the easiest one to live without. But then, you know, you just don't have the pleasure of food. Yeah. But then, you know, maybe the next one would be hearing, but then you're really isolated from the people around you in terms of hearing conversations, and that's important too. I think any loss of sense would be really difficult. Let's say, for the purposes of your question, taste.
Yeah. I think we've got to do our best to kind of maintain our senses, do the best we can to...
Yeah. But what's good is that I think when you do lose a sense that the others will kick in and become more enhanced, or you're more aware of them and use them to a greater extent than you would ordinarily when you've got all of them intact. So,
thank you so much for joining us here on Real tonight, Dr. Vukacevic. It has been a pleasure having you and talking about the human senses with you.
Thanks so much to you.
Don't forget to get social and tweet us with the hashtag #RealSenses. We'll be back with more about our human senses. You're on Real. Welcome back to Real, where we continue to explore the 5 senses. We all enjoy that trip to the cinema every now and again, but what about the visually and hearing impaired who cannot see or hear the story? Bethany Hodge shares with us the life-changing technologies that help enhance the cinema experience for the deaf and the blind.
Film and TV are a major component of everyday life. We are exposed to these dramatic, action and comedic scenes, just to name a few. We get to see emotion, action and costume. We hear dialogue, music and sounds. But what would happen if all of a sudden we couldn't hear or see any of this? The blind and the deaf are incapable of one or the other, yet cinemas and TV streaming services have assisted the blind and deaf communities using certain methods. Hoyt Cinema, for instance, has implemented caption devices for the hearing impaired so that they can read the dialogue and understand what is happening on screen. Hoyts has also introduced headphones for use by the blind, which gives the listener audio descriptions, allowing them to hear the dialogue, the sounds, and the actions that are happening on screen. This is what they hear.
A zombie is walking around a black car in the middle of a field. The car has a green P plate in its rear window. 2 boys are in the car. Marty rolls down the passenger window and hangs a box of chips out of the car.
Yeah, zombie. Got some chippies for you to have instead of us.
The zombie turns to Marty and walks to the window. The zombie grabs Marty's hand.
Thanks to the media industry, the blind and deaf communities are now able to visit the cinema and be a part of their regular community.
It's great to know that there are resources like that available, and it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for those technologies. Have you ever remembered names through colour association? Or maybe the days of the week look like shapes to you? Have you ever heard of the term synesthesia? It's a condition that many people don't know that they have. Sounds a little confusing, right? We'll let this story explain. The number 7. It is manly, mean, and it is also bright green. Tuesday is a blue square, and it is taller than Sunday. The name Steve tastes like popcorn. Welcome to the wonderful world of synesthesia. Synesthesia, the perceptual condition of mixed sensations. People with synesthesia are called synesthetes. They experience life like anybody else, but with their senses amplified by crossing over one another. This could include any of the senses, whether it be sight and colour recognition, hearing, taste, smell, or touch. The most common form involves associating numbers, letters, words, or days with colours and shapes. For instance, a synesthete might see the word tree as bright purple, whilst the number 6 is mustard yellow. The colours, words and letters are different for each individual synesthete. The statistics for the number of people in the world with synesthesia are an extremely broad estimate. This is because many people who have synesthesia don't know that they do. It is not a disorder, but rather a trait, just like having brown hair or green eyes. In fact, it has been proven to assist with memory because of colour or shape association. Someone without synesthesia would have trouble detecting the 2s and 5s in this image. Synesthetes might see the image like this. Synesthesia. If you have it, you're in for a very colourful life. Did you know that smoking can eliminate 3 out of your 5 senses? Or that acid in soft drinks can affect your taste buds? From senses at an extreme to none at all, are your daily habits destroying your senses? Lauren Galena explains.
Hello, we're here to talk about your senses and how you may be destroying them through everyday habits. Let's talk about smoking, shall we? It's bad for you, we all know it, but 1 in 5 Australians are daily smokers. Adding tar, nicotine, carbon monoxide and 4,000 other bad chemicals into your lungs. Smoking is well known for causing emphysema and cancer, but did you know it can affect your vision through cataracts disease, giving you blurry sight? And the nicotine highly decreases taste sensitivity. You may as well be eating cardboard. And if smelling like an ashtray isn't enough, the fumes in each cigarette can enable anosmia, complete loss of smell. Another bad habit is soft drinks. 2 glasses a day and the acid can dull the sensitivity to the taste sensation of sweetness, encouraging an increase in sugar intake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 16. And this just leads to being overweight. High blood pressure is another one on the list, straining the blood vessels in your eyes, further leading to complete loss of vision. But how do we get high blood pressure? Smoking comes back in the game by being the number 1 cause. Also lack of exercise and obesity. So get off the couch and head outdoors without the cigarette. Here are some horrible royalty-free music to listen to. And it's horrible music like this that can affect your hearing. Just kidding. But the headphones that rest directly in your ears sure can. A crazy 59% of teens listen to music daily.
The loud music harms the hair cells in your ears, which cannot be replaced and can lead to permanent damage.
See what I mean? And lastly, we have arthritis. 3.8 million Aussies suffer from stiffness and inflammation in their joints. It is caused by normal wear and tear throughout life and will affect your sense of touch by eliminating the feeling sensation. So give your bad habits a rethink and keep your senses healthy.
We better start rethinking our daily habits. Tonight we have discussed the varying effects of our senses. Our senses are an influential factor in our everyday life, and we hope we have shared with you the stories and experiences of those with and without. That's all we have time for tonight. Tune in next week for another journey of growing healthy communities with an episode on honesty and trust. Thank you for watching and good night.
The strength of a nation isn't based on acquisitions, rather the ability of its people to be at peace in their conditions. Once we portray what we envision, a new day will have risen, then we will never see our communities as a jail or a prison.